everyone, thank you for clicking onto this video or this podcast. I just want to have like a quick heads up that I kind of like ran into a technical error halfway through recording the podcast. So around like the 48-minute mark, you are going to see two of me and also hear two of my voices. So yeah, you can still make out what I am saying, but I just want to like give you a heads up just in case you're wondering what is going on. And also, in any case, if you need it, I have inserted captions as well. So thank you for clicking onto this video and enjoy!
Again, hi everyone.
Hi everyone. Okay, so yes, welcome to our next episode of the Two Alchemists. I'm Tonya, the business alchemist. I am a business astrologer and coach. And how about you, Jasmine?
Hi, I'm Jasmine. So I'm a Reiki and mental alchemy practitioner.
Cool.
And that's
We are
continue.
doing this episode as part of our series from corporate to soulpreneurship. As you know, the two of us used to be a part of corporate life not too long ago, but I would say even for me, it was probably already, actually I'm counting, it's like 5 years ago, 6 years ago already. So yeah, that I decided to make the jump. Of course, the final straw was still in 2020, so that's like 4 years.
It's been some time, yeah.
It's been some time. Yeah. So today we talk about that move that we made, but I think now we're actually going more into our journey as soulpreneurs. And today, I guess we want to talk about our values and how, I guess just wanted to compare ourselves against the traditional solopreneur versus ourselves as a soulpreneur. So what is the difference between the two? And maybe if we have some time, we can cover the similarities, but we really wanted to make this distinction between ourselves and the traditional business person. Okay. So let's cover maybe more first in terms of our motivations and our purpose here. The approach, I guess, that for me as a solopreneur is really that I wanted to make an impact in the world. So I'm not here about making money per se. I'm not here about making profits. That's not what drives me. What truly drives me is my purpose and how I'm here to help people to also to find meaning and to find something that is more, I guess, that feeds their souls, right? Something that feeds your soul and to help you to find the work that you love to do. So yeah, I guess for me, it really moves away from the traditional way of like just looking at the business and looking at, say, is this going to be profitable, right? For me, the first question is this going to help people? Is this going to make people's lives better? And that's where I'm coming from. Now, I would say for me, profitability is definitely somewhere in the mix, because otherwise, how am I going to feed myself, right? But it's not like at the forefront like it is for many businesses where they really start looking at the profit and loss account and they go, oh, how are we going to increase the profit? So that is what drives, I guess, me. Yeah. What about you, Jasmine? What's your motivation? What's your core? What's at the core of you?
Thank you for sharing that. Like when I was just listening, right, I was just like getting very inspired by you as well. So I'm here to make money, but again, like exactly like what you said, this is definitely not the driving force. And also, I mean, like we all need money. Like let's just face it. Like we need to survive. We need money to survive. We need money to enjoy the finer things in life and stuff like that. But at the same time, I also have, I don't know if you have like, bumped or like met people like this before where I feel like this was kind of like where I was in the past as well. So, like both of us were in corporate and we used to have a job where we draw like a monthly salary, and sometimes like work can get a little bit frustrating or mundane sometimes, and sometimes like among me and my friends or me and my colleagues, but like we'll just talk among ourselves lah, like, oh, I don't want to hold this job already. Like, what should I do next? What can I do next? And also, like, sometimes we'll just joke, like, oh, I wish that I win Toto, I win 4D, so that I can, quit my job. But I think most of the time, what we discussed and the question that came up was like, what other things can we do in order to make money? Instead of like, questions like, oh, what can I do next to serve the world? What do I actually feel good at? What do I actually am good at to serve the world? So it's always that question, like, what can I do next to earn money? I mean, technically it's not wrong, but it's just that it felt like that was the driving force. And we start to come up with things like, oh, you know what, let's open the bubble tea shop. It's trending right now. Let's start to sell jewelries. Or, people are willing to pay like a lot of money to sit at a cafe. Maybe we should open a cafe. But I mean, nothing wrong with all of this, but it also felt like, again, it was not heart-led. It was not something that you really love to do. Comparing, for example, to someone who's like a chef who like really likes to cook, who like really likes to make a
so much
barista who, like,
passion, right?
right. And
Yeah.
if these people open like a cafe, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world, because it's at their core, it's like their passion, what they want to do. But there are some people who are like, oh, okay, what can we make money with it? So for example, for me, if I don't like to cook, right, and then I go and do this kind of stuff, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And so I think I was from that mindset as well. And it took me a very, very, very long while to kind of like get to where I am, to see like, oh, you know what, this at the very core, like this thing that I'm doing, Reiki, mental alchemy, having talk therapy and stuff like that, like, and little by little, watching people getting this kind of support, and through all of these sessions, right, then watching them transform, watching them being different, being better, being more, stepping into their power and stuff like that, it just lights me up so much. And that was when I realized that, oh, you know what, like, to make a living, to the services that we offer, it doesn't always have to come from a space of like, does it make money or not? Can it make money or not? But rather turning it around and focus on like what lights you up and what actually supports other people. Money and the earnings become a byproduct of it.
Yes.
Rather than like that, it becomes like the main and the sole purpose of it. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I came from a slightly different avenue, I guess, because I was in banking for a long time, and I didn't have the passion, right? I was good at doing what I was doing, but I just didn't have that kind of passion. And I used to admire my dad, because my dad had so much passion for what he did. He was an accountant, but he was the kind of accountant that's not the one that closes the books every month. He's the kind that wheels and deals and puts people together, mergers, acquisitions, launch people on the stock market and stuff like that. He just was so driven by all of that.
Wow.
And then I watched my husband, who's an educator, and he has so much passion with what he does as well. He can, like, eat, breathe, sleep his subject matter, right? And I was like, wow, where did we do this? How come I don't have any of this passion, right? I just want this passion somewhere, and then that would kind of give me the motivation to do something that I love. And then I guess the money will come after that. That was kind of always where I thought I would be.
Wow, you have
Slightly
role
different.
models all around you.
Yeah, I guess I had I had these people around me that were just
I
really
love that.
passionate.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Would you like to share a little bit about, like, when you were in your corporate job, and kind of like maybe not just you, but how does the whole corporate like operates in a way?
Yeah. So I was also a business manager, right? And I was also what you call a management reporting finance person. So basically, I would translate all the financial information into all these important statistics for the management to look at. So you call, all of these dashboards, right? I'll come up with dashboards and people will look at their KPIs, their key performance indicators, which were mostly numbers like, okay, how much sales have we done? What has been the percentage of profitability? What have our expenses been like? Have we managed to increase our customer base? That kind of thing, right? Those are all the questions that the management has always been asking and wondering how in the world they can make more, and to at least give them a picture of what the company is doing so that they can use these statistics to drive more business for themselves, right? So it's about how you look at these statistics and let them drive your decisions, basically. So at the end of the day, when I attended those monthly management meetings, it felt very numbers driven, right? It didn't feel very people driven. It didn't feel like, oh, we want to reach our customers because we want to care for them and we want to help them to make more money. There's no such talk of that, because ultimately I work for a bank, and this bank served high net worth clients. And so yes, the relationship managers want to help the clients to build their money and so on, but there was very little of that talk during the management meeting in terms of driving those values, in terms of at least making sure that you do it in a very equitable way, or do it in a way that cares for the client. But it was more of, let's push the sales, let's see which products we can sell, can we sell this product? And it was very, very much a left brain logical exercise more than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it like that for you as well, as a finance person?
Funnily, I have a different experience. So just so I think I shared this before, but I'm gonna share it again. Like I was in the advertising. I was in the finance department, but I was in the advertising industry for about 7 to 8 years in total, I would say. And for the yeah, for one of my advertising job, not to go into details, for one of my advertising job, I actually had a switch of management before. So to share a bit, I was in the commercial side of the finance, which means that I think kind of like same, a little bit similar to yours, where I actually look at the profitability, like overall in the company, in the client by clients and stuff like that. So in the past, I would say before the management change, I was like, you know what, I was doing this churning out numbers and stuff like that and watching the profitability. The way how our management works is actually rather than just like they take the numbers and the profitability into consideration, but at the same time they did rank, not say rank lah, but they did like access and look at the clients of like, how much they can do for us, at the same time like how much do we feel like connected to them, and how much like we want to serve that client, and how can we adjust the money but at the same time making it overall profitable. So I think like I learned a lot along the way. It's kind of like balancing like how much we want to serve the client, but also at the same time we have to make sure that I can feed myself, I can feed my staff, we have to maintain certain profitability, and we can answer to the head office. So there was like a lot of things that's been taken into consideration, which I was really inspired and had great admiration for the management at that time. And I really learned a lot lah, because it's not just solely taking like just money and profitability into consideration. Unfortunately, slowly there was a bit of restructuring, and the whole management just kind of like change, and it became more profit and more money driven towards the end of when I kind of like about to leave the company lah. And
I
like
see.
it's not just even about like should I serve do I want to serve more for the clients, because right now it's about like for us it's about like us and the clients only. Like in corporate settings it's also about like the management for their own staff and also for the clients as well.
Yeah.
So it became more of like a, don't know if it's the right word, self-serving. Like we want to make more money, but we are not taking our staff mental health or like their physical health into consideration anymore. And we are, when we look at client, they are, I don't know, money mule or something, like I just want to earn money, and it just became a very unhealthy environment lah towards the end when I was there.
Yeah.
And I think it I think I was able to see the two sides of it. Like what was it at the start when I joined, and how inspired I was when people are like really being taken care of. And towards the end, it's kind of like I feel like I had been in situations, work situations like that before, where the management don't really care about the staff well-being. But I've never been in a situation that was like that, even to the extent that I was being that burnout. So yeah, that was I think that lesson, even though it's somebody else's lesson, like hit me pretty hard to know that that's really not the way to operate.
Yeah.
We have to take other people's into consideration.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good insight that you have also shared with all of us. Even in your field, you actually experienced the change of that, and like for me, I think it was more or less to a different extent, but really in the bigger banks that I worked for, that was what I saw. Everybody is a P&L, even the staff is a P&L. That was one of the reasons why I quit one of those big banks much earlier on as well, because they didn't see us as human beings, right?
How
At least in my last bank that I worked for, they were still very focused on bringing clients in, on client relationships and the P&L and making more profit margins and all that. But at least what they saw was that staff are still resources. So they were willing to invest in stuff. At least the last bank I saw, they were happy to do that and keep us as a happy family. But still, yes, a lot of the time, still very driven by money and profits and things like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, eventually we are our own resource. Like in a let's, I know, like I understand what you mean. Like in corporate setting, it can get a little bit complicated because like management, I have my staff to take care of, and I might have my client.
Yeah,
But
you
even
have a
in
lot of
like a
competing things.
right, even I
Yeah.
think that's gonna come up later as we talk about as well. But like in a smaller setting, it's more of like yes, it's us with the clients, but at the same time, we are our own resource, and we need to talk about like self care as well. If you only keep thinking about money, there is a tendency you're probably gonna overwork yourself as well, lah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are people who are entrepreneurs who have pushed and pushed and pushed themselves, and yeah, they go through burnout. I know a few of them who've done that for themselves.
Oh
They become very
gosh.
successful, right? Very, very successful, very big entrepreneurs. But then, yeah, they burn out because they push themselves so hard.
It's like towards the end, like even for myself, right? It's like we learn the lesson through a hard way lah. Like this is definitely not the way to live our life.
Mm, yeah.
How is it? How's it for you when you were recalling and sharing the story about like how being in a place where people were conditioned to, or like their values is like bottom line, money, or kind of thing, versus like how you work right now. Like it's hard led, it's more of like serving the people, serving the community. Like how do you feel about the difference, and yeah, basically everything else?
I think the state at which I am right now, I think is probably in response to what I saw in my younger years. Because I did not really like what I saw. I did not like seeing people just focusing on money, money, money. I'm not really a very money driven person myself, but I just saw every single organization putting so much emphasis on that, right? And in some of the banks that I work for, they would not care about their staff or efficiencies or anything like that. Even though investing in something may have given you more efficiency in terms of the less man hours that you work on something, like systems efficiencies, they refuse to make investments because to them the bottom line is the thing that matters the most. So I think for me at least, this is where it came from. This is where my my value system has come from, in seeing that there's so much overemphasis on resources, on money, and money for the sake of money, that I don't want to be doing this for the sake of money only. Of course, I still have to pay the bills. Of course, I have to support myself, but not at the expense of earning more money from a client just because I want to earn more money, right? It has to
Yeah.
be an exchange for me. Like, I want to give value, I want to give back, I want to help other people see, see the beauty in themselves, see what they're so good at doing. And that's what drives me, right? I don't like seeing people who are not confident of themselves, whereas they actually have so many gifts and so many talents. Hello, where can I help you see, yourself in a more positive light? So it's
Yeah.
it's so much more about that than it is about the bottom line. I feel that eventually, if you build relationships with people and if you focus on just doing and giving value back, it actually translates into money. I hit my mic just
Yeah.
now.
It was a passionate topic. But I have to say, like, even because if you see in terms of like energy and vibration, right, where being in the presence of someone else, or like, seek somewhere else for like services, for like offerings, right? Like, like even just what you shared, the energy, the feeling of whatever you shared, like it just feels like there's so much connection, there's so much spark, and I just want to be bask in your energy. Like, I want to come to you, I want to
Oh,
like come for your service, and we are gonna have a service. We are gonna have a session later after this, so I'm very excited. And I feel like the intention behind, like you were saying, like the intention behind your offering or your services or your session, right? It just makes a whole lot of difference versus someone who, just out there to want your money lah. And
mm,
also, I feel like, I think maybe it's the way that the world, the system is operating right now, where, you know generally speaking, like whatever we are talking about, there's always this feeling of like it's a either or situation, because there are so many examples out there where they just want the money and they don't really want to like serve you from the heart. And we always feel like then it shall be a either or situation. Like, if let's say I want to serve from the heart, it means that I'm going to be poor, it means that I can't do it for, to gain money out of it. Like,
mm.
it's not really the case, and I feel like we are being conditioned to think of it like
So
that.
black and
But
white,
for
right?
sure it is. Sorry.
So black and white, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not a either or situation. And to like really get there, right, I think it's slowly like it's time to have we have to open up our mind lah, that definitely it's not option one or option two only.
Yeah, although I mean the tendency, I guess, is we will see more of the corporate kind, the ones that are after profitability and
Mm.
making more money in the corporate space, whereas the ones who are more like, I'm doing this spiritual thing and therefore I don't deserve to earn money.
Mm.
That tends to be in the space in which we are
Right.
surrounded by a lot of people who somehow
Yeah.
believe that they don't want to charge money because they shouldn't. It's not good to charge money. So
Yeah.
like it's almost as if money is like, at the root of all evil or something like that.
Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly.
yeah.
Definitely we need to change this. Like, if not, I mean, logical thinking wise, right? If we keep thinking like that, I was just telling someone that, I mean, logical thinking, if let's say you always feel like therapy session or like whatever we are doing, spiritual work, it has to be free, it always means that we need to hold a proper job in a corporate
Mm-hmm.
setting where it's
Mm-hmm.
not hard led lah. And if we continue like that, we are actually allowing the system to keep continuing that as well. So
Yeah.
definitely not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
Okay.
with you.
Hi,
You're
Lulu.
eroding away your own values now at the end of the day.
Right.
Question to ask you.
Whew.
Uh, so if numbers and statistics and
Mm.
KPIs be the way in which traditional solopreneurs and businesses make business decisions. How do you make business decisions for yourself? Like, how do you decide who you're going to collaborate with? How do you decide whether you want to put this particular offering out or when you want to do promotions? How do you decide?
So the funny thing is, it triggered me to remember this thing where I think it was like right before, probably like a month before I put out my offering, right? I was just like brainstorming what do I want to do, where do I stand and everything. And I think there was like also a lot of worry again because I also want money lah because I need money to survive, right? I also think like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make enough living for myself? This and that. And I went to this intuitive reader who like she looked at me and the first few things, and when I told her about this, the first few things she asked me was actually to ask me to write down my values, to actually write down what where do I stand, what are my values, what are my audience and stuff like that. And I got a bit puzzled because I think I was still in my like past mindset of you haven't even tell me will I make it or not, you know, that kind of thing. And I feel like it was after I put out my offering and along the way, right, I start to realize how important it is to know your standing, to know like what your value is and how, and I can see like how it actually contributes to my offering, to I mean to know like who I want to attract in, who my clientele are, and also this is gonna definitely lead to how I earn money as well. I think it's like everything feels very profound and complex, but yet it's all intertwined. But
Okay.
I'm just gonna share a little bit about like how I price myself. So I'm definitely I work through a lot to come to a space to know like what I am worth like and how powerful or how much I can contribute or support a person in a session with either Reiki or mental alchemy. So at the same time, I do take into consideration of like, oh, you know, the person, the frequency of the person coming in. How can they budget like other than keep me afloat to make sure that I'm still alive? I can put food on my table. At the same time, I would think like, can the person put into their own budget? Can the person, you know, afford it, and do they have to, you know, sacrifice other things or not? Because I don't want them to afford their own quality life as well. And at the same time, I want to like widen the amount of support I can give for people. What if like for people who is not earning as much, but they actually want this kind of support? So I'll introduce like a sliding scale and this and that. So it's kind of like for both of us, because I think one of my values is to make sure that those people who are like willing to have the support, who are willing to seek help from themselves, that they will get the support as well and not let the pricing like
Stop them.
affect them in this decision making. Yeah. Yeah. How about you?
Wow. So inclusive.
I try my best.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I have to say for me, I have just priced it in terms of just thinking about, I guess also very much about how much time and energy this thing that I'm putting out is worth. I put that out in terms of how much time and energy it is meaning to me because it's I guess what I've seen other people do sometimes is they put something out there in terms, not in terms of how much the person's time and energy is, but how much the client is willing to pay for it.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I've seen people do that, and I guess for me, I'm not at that stage, or I'm not ready to do that. No, I've seen people price branding, for example, at thousands of dollars. Right. I guess it makes sense if you are a business that is making you hundreds
Mm.
of thousands of dollars, then a few $1,000s of branding will not be too much of an investment for you or will not hurt you too much. But if you are a small business owner that's just starting out your business, I can't imagine charging someone
Yeah.
$3,000 for a branding exercise. I mean,
Totally agree.
this is the intention of this branding exercise is to help you to get from here to there. It's not to make you come here, right? So I'm not really for making people go through so much pain in order to get a service from me and to get some value from me. I guess I'm not
Yeah.
really at that stage where I'm like, oh, I'm earning multi-million dollars, and therefore I have to. I'm also working with multi-million dollar kind of clients, and therefore maybe I could charge. That's relative, right? But
Yeah.
that's not the space, and I guess that's my consideration. What value am I bringing to the person, and is that enough to sort of feed me, right? At the end of the day. Now, I think on certain cases, very 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 small number of cases, there are people who are students, for example, right? So I get okay, I'll just completely charge you a very low price. Don't worry about it too much. But most of the time, I just take into consideration whether that value is what I'm kind of putting out there for other people. I
Yeah.
guess I do get the thing that sometimes maybe you should consider the value that it is to the other person, but I think that there still needs to be some balance, right?
Yeah. Totally agree.
And I remember someone actually mentioning something about charging someone that value of money where they are in pain and therefore willing to pay this amount to get rid of the pain.
Oh.
Uh, and I I don't know, it just doesn't quite sit right with me right now. I don't know. I don't see the rationale for it 100%. It as far as my body is concerned, it just doesn't feel right yet. Maybe it will never feel right. I don't know. Pricing is very relative to everyone, right? Everyone's got a
Yeah.
rationale. I don't think
Yeah.
there's right, there's wrong. But when I look at that and when I feel into that, I still feel that there's a large element of you're going to pay for my bills so that I can keep up with this high-end lifestyle that I've got.
Mm.
That is the way I see it.
Okay.
I may have seen
Okay.
other coaches do that before, and I don't agree with that.
Which means that you're saying that some, like, because they have a very lavish lifestyle, so that's why they charge this amount, is it?
Uh, yeah, they actually do lead a privileged life, right? And then they want the privileged life to continue, and therefore they charge
Oh.
you thousands of dollars as well for them to continue with it. It's a perpetuating sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I I feel like somewhere somehow I know this concept, but I'm also
Mm,
trying to like internalize this. I
mm.
feel like I know this, but I feel like I've never really thought about this thing, this self reflection time.
I guess yeah. Good, good,
Yeah.
good,
Okay.
good time to reflect as well if you want to, or something to take back with you as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I have seen it, and I think it kind of jars me sometimes when I do see marketing materials that go like, oh, this will earn you millions of dollars, or it will 5x your income. That kind of promise that comes with it, and therefore the price tag that comes with it as well, right?
Mm.
Like $10,000 cost, and I will 5x your income for you.
Yeah.
So um, number one, the way in which they are talking and marketing it to me is it's I'm not comfortable with that because you're just purely talking about money. I know that is probably on the forefront of people's minds, but I don't want people to come to me because I'm the astrologer that can tell you how you can 5x your money.
No, I feel like this actually goes in a loop, which is very funny because you know how we started off by saying that it needs to be soul at work, it needs to be hard at work. That's so true. Entrepreneurship. And we are not talking about bottom line. Money should be a byproduct that,
Mm,
allow you to enjoy your life experience. And then people
mm,
got, pulled out from whatever system it is, plug themselves into, let's just say it's spiritual work lah. And then
mm,
what they are guaranteeing people now is like the outcome, the end result. And then which means that it comes back to the original system but they plug themselves in this let's say, spiritual community, which is supposedly should be soul-led or heart-led, and then they guarantee you the results, which is again the outcome as well, so that it can fit into their lifestyle, which is this, you are still perpetrating the whole
Yeah,
same
yeah,
system, but in
the whole
another area.
capitalist sort of system, right? Yeah,
Yes,
just a different area. Yeah,
yes,
and I
yeah.
think that's what's quite prevalent in the coaching industry right now.
Oh, okay, I didn't
Mm.
realize this. I
Yeah,
mean, I've
it's
seen
quite
this around, but
prevalent.
I've never really like, because I think the moment I see this, I'm like, nope, I'm drawing myself, I'm looking the other way.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a lot of
Ah,
people are using these taglines to attract people. For sure it attracts, for sure it will attract your attention. But for me, if I see that, and I, even if you are not like that, that is the thing that just kind of turns me off, and I go, no, that is not what I want to
yeah,
do. Yes, I want to make money, but I want to make it in a ethical way. I don't want it to perpetuate itself,
yeah.
this money kind of money for the sake of money.
I think first and foremost, it does sound a little bit of scam, a little bit like scam, like very scammy in a way. And
Mm.
also I can see like why these people might be popular lah, because in our usual setting, like how we grew up, how we work, we are already being conditioned to think it this way, like the bottom line, the outcome, and everything. And which is why, like, I was sharing the story, like initially when I was still working, we talked with like a couple of colleagues and friends. We were saying like, what is the next thing that we can earn money? Again, we are conditioned to think like the outcome. And then when you see like advertisement like this, marketing like this, right? There's a huge chance of like a chunk of people will fall into that, because we're still conditioned to think that way. And I think
Mm.
the point of this whole podcast to like pull people out and stop seeing it in that way lah, I would say.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and also about the lavish lifestyle, I mean, again, it's all of us wants to enjoy things in various different
nice
ways.
things in life. Yes.
Yeah, so but at the same time, I also wonder if, let's say, yes, all of us wants to be, maybe some of us wants to be in a more luxurious state, but it does say something about a person who cannot live in like constantly or like long term and has to only be in this luxurious state. I think it says something about the person as well when you
Mm.
hire them as coaches lah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
it might. I think I've heard stories and I've seen people, so I go, yeah, okay. But I guess these are mostly people that I've seen in around the world. I've not seen in
Mm.
front of me personally a lot, but
Oh,
say if you're from the States, I have seen a lot of this from the people who are in the
um,
US. I think probably because what I see on Instagram is mostly people from the States anyway, right? Everything that appears, a lot of things that appear on my feed
yeah.
are people from the States or from English speaking countries, so that tends to be the case. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
that can happen from any part of the world, but I just feel like, hopefully if you listen to this podcast, it kind of like raise your awareness in you. So while these people pop up in your feed, or like people approach you, wanting to be your coach and stuff like that, it can hopefully recall a little bit of like what you hear in this podcast lah, and have that little alarm bell and ask yourself again, just
if
to
this, yeah.
listen again, is the person is for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, for me as a person who makes decisions for my business,
Mm.
it's not just about whether it makes money sense.
Mm.
It's also about, say, if I wanted to collaborate with someone, I would be quite discerning about who I'm collaborating with,
Mm.
right? I wouldn't just go yes to any person who invites me. I would first, see if there is a certain shared values, right? Some kind of shared
Mm.
value. I'm not asking for someone to be exactly the same as me, but at least we meet on some of the bigger values, right? In terms of our value system, what we feel is important, and so on. Like how you and I are collaborating as well in this, right? And Yeah, and I guess, even if it's say a huge opportunity, right? Maybe with a corporate or something like that. A big part of me is like, I think I have to give it a huge think to see whether I really want to do something or not. Even though it might promise a lot more money and so on, I'm not sure I would actually go with that. The first thing I would ask myself is whether the corporate people that I'm working with are in alignment with the values I have, the value system that I have. If not, then what's the point? Because we're not going to be very happy working together then, right?
Yeah,
Because they are corporate and because I'm just one person, I'm very likely to be twisted into doing things that I don't want to do. Do I want
totally
that?
agree.
No, I don't want
Totally
that,
agree.
right? Yeah, so it's the fit and the following my gut and following my intuition also comes into this as well.
Yeah, I feel like Tonya is the person who you are the person who kind of like inspired me the most in this area because I feel like I came from a very heavily conditioned place where we it's about like especially when I first start out, there's this feeling of like um I need to do whatever it takes. I need to network with the right person in order to get my business up, going up, so that I'm earning enough, all this kind of stuff. And when I, sometimes talk to you, and you will say like, does it align with your value? How's the person like and everything. Then it does like make me think and make me reflect. Like, oh yeah, because I mean, short term wise, maybe just maybe the person might help me, but long term wise, it might lead to somewhere that might just compromise your values and compromise your principles. And I feel like I'm able to see it clearer now. So I start to learn to discern, not just, I think it just didn't seep into my own offering, but it does seep into my own personal, like my own personal time. Who do I want to hang out with? Who do I,
Mm.
rather than just keep thinking like, oh, I need to network because network will help me to get me somewhere and stuff like that.
Mm.
And while I pull myself out from it, right, and I start to like observe people and start to reflect on how I probably make decisions or react in the past, there's this temptation of this yearning of like, let me just network or be around people who are like more successful, already successful, and maybe are like famous, in hopes that they can help me with my business, recommend me to the right person and everything. And while I like pull myself back and I start to see how some pan out lah for certain people as well, and I see like the same pattern repeat for some of the people as I know, and as well as some of the people that I don't know,
Mm.
trying to mingle with the popular ones, mingle with the considered successful ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think long term wise, you might see some consequences lah that you might don't feel that aligned with. And I think
Mm.
that's where like you help me realize like how important to make decisions that's aligned with your value and principles are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that, but thank you.
Give you two more heart.
I think events and fairs and I guess you have to bring in some of the practicalities there, right? For sure, for events and fairs. I mean, you first have to think about things like, again, these are still very business-like decisions, and even as a spiritual person, you still have to bring them in. You have to see whether they are a good fit for you, right? At the end of the day, like say I'm a business and career astrologer, right? I'm talking about work most of the time. I'm talking about purpose. I'm talking about branding and stuff like that most of the time. Would it serve me to say put myself in a weekend fair where people are there to try out all kinds of fun spiritual things? I'm not sure I can marry the work thing together with the fun thing, and I'm not sure the people are in the mindset to look at, oh, what's the best career for me, or what's my personal brand, or anything like that. I'm sure people who go for a weekend fair are just there to go and try new things and maybe do some tarot card readings, ask about the future or their partners or whatever. But I'm not sure that I would make a good, this would actually make a very good ground for me, basically, right? And for me, at least, that's how I thought. Okay, maybe fairs and stuff like that are not the best place to be in. So I've made some mistakes here and there before, right? In terms of, oh yeah, actually the people, considering the people and the audience that's going to come, is this a right fit for me? And I go, yeah, actually, I'm not too sure it's the right fit. So it still takes a bit of practicality, but still, at the end of the day, go with your gut, right? If it just doesn't feel good, then don't say yes, right? Even though ultimately it makes so much sense, and your gut just goes, no, not a good feeling, then don't go with it, right? Because later on, it will show exactly why you said yes or you said no to a particular thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this also helped me to like really think also lah, because I think you mentioned a couple of times of like the feeling in your gut, the feeling in your heart, that kind of thing. And it initially, like when we first start out and we want to make certain decisions, we are like, there's a chance we'll be, especially when we are not as successful as we want to be yet, there's a chance that you will be tempted by certain things, like um going to like fairs that you were talking about to get exposure, or to like hang around, to you feel like it's the right people to hang out with, but actually the values doesn't align. It is easier to ignore your gut feeling, and easier to ignore like your heart and your feel of it lah at the
Yeah.
start. But
Yeah.
when you kept, like, it leads you down this path, and eventually when maybe you end up with like a clientele that doesn't really resonate with your value, you end up with like a lot of people that you surround with that doesn't align with you. That gut feeling and that heart feeling will just get louder and louder, that you just cannot ignore. But at that point of time, you kind of like have already built your system, or like built whatever you have to like a certain extent. By the time you want to change, not say that you can't, but it's probably a little bit harder lah than if you would have aligned yourself at the start, from the start.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It's all also a trial and error sometimes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because you're new, you don't know, and then just go and try.
Yeah.
My teacher put me through some kind of a watch launch at the retail shop of a very high-end prestige place. And the thing is, what we had to be very clear about was this was not something that was aligned with our values. Absolutely not. But we were very
As in
clear,
y'all,
and we,
oh,
yeah.
you all talked about before the session.
We
Oh,
talked
okay,
about it
okay.
before we went in. We knew that this was not going to be the place that would bring us clients and would give us, affinities and wonderful inroads into anywhere. We were very clear about this, and she was very clear that we went into this with our eyes open. She was just there to give us the experience of seeing
Okay.
15, 20 clients in one day.
Oh, that was nuts, man. That was nuts.
That'd be nuts, but it was very good, very, very good practice for us. But I guess in whatever you're doing, right, in whether you're participating in a fair, an event, whether you're putting up promotion, whether you're collaborating with something, you do have to be very clear what your main objective is. And I guess if it's not to grow business, then maybe it serves a different objective for you. You know what I mean? So, like what I say, you still have to find that balance, right, between your intuition and your values and everything, and the objective of what you're doing this exercise for. Jasmine, you have hung. I hope you'll be back soon.
Oh my god, dear god. Shit.
So I think that's
I
where
think
we
I got
finish.
kicked. I got kicked out right
Yeah,
before
you
I
got
heard
kicked out.
that.
Yeah, you were like, and I was like, for a very long time.
not moving.
Yeah, that's what it is. Customers and community, yes.
You want to share?
So, I guess if I'm thinking about it in terms of the businesses I used to work with, as far as customers are concerned, to the bank at least, they're also another dollar sign, right? I used to rank my customers in terms of a few different KPIs, like how much do they have with the bank, how much returns do they get, and so because we ranked them this way, we would have them appear on the top customer list for purposes of the management, so that for networking or for customer relationship events, all the events that they bring customers to and all that, that they will give extra attention to these customers because they've got that dollar sign on them that's higher than everyone else, right? That's what motivates them to build that relationship with the customer. So our CEO and our top leaders in the banks would only be given this VIP customer list so that they would build on these relationships with them.
Okay. This makes
Kind of
me so
leaves
many
you,
things.
leaves you in a quite a painful place.
Yeah.
I guess that there is a potential that maybe some customers don't have money with the bank because their relationship with the relationship manager is not deep enough, and therefore there's still potential. And I think there may have been some cases where they also have look at customers in a more, I guess, in less in terms of money but more just terms of potential that they're going to get. Sorry.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, yes, it's always about the money that the customer is making the bank. It's always about that. It's never anything else, right?
Yeah.
So it's fairly transactional, I would say. So yeah, but like for me now, in terms of building customer relationships, I don't necessarily focus on one customer because I see that they're rich and their pockets are deeper, and therefore I spend more time with them, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's really just about getting to know people, and if there is resonance there, then continue to build on that resonance with the people. That's less of looking at whether it's my top client or my top customer that keeps buying stuff from me. I don't look at it that way. It's just everyone's the same to me. These are all my clients. These are all my
I love
customers.
that. I love
Yeah.
that.
So that's all it is for me. It's very simplistic. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how other coaches do it. I don't know whether they will do it this way too. Maybe they do. But I
Yeah.
would think that if you're a very traditional business, right, maybe you would focus on your clients because they give you a certain amount.
Yeah.
I'm not
Bottom line
sure.
wise, it makes sense. It does make sense if they do that. I think personally for me is because I didn't come from a very rich family. I come from like a humble family lah. And then and I feel like I've been in surrounded by not, I don't know, is it like people or is it people that feels that way, kind of like if you have money, if you have deeper pockets, that's where you get respected more, will have people paying more attention on you and stuff like that. And I don't know if you've got heard of this thing before where you need to get yourself a branded and or luxury bag. That's where when you go to shops, right? That's where these people you'll be respected more. And I feel like I have been in like surrounded by this kind of people for quite a while when I was younger, and I feel like I've fallen into this thing before lah, where that's where I got my my first LV bag, feeling that I may get more respected, I may get people to listen to me more and this kind of thing. And somehow I just like resent the idea altogether, and I feel like they're probably still not respecting me. They're respecting whatever I'm carrying. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It is still not me. So I abandoned that idea entirely. And I feel like how much money you have in the bank and how much you are able to spend. Sometimes it's not 100% within your control, and I feel like everybody should be respected and should get equal amount of attention just for who you are, and not based on like how much the other person can gain from it. So like in one of my companies, I actually got to a place or like a position where it's kind of like mid-tier or like high lah. And I feel like the people around, I do get treated differently. I probably get more respect and more people want to talk to me more and feel like my me being in their network feels probably useful or more advantageous, that kind of thing. And it didn't make me feel good. In fact, I hated to be in that position. Like the same thing with the bag, where I feel like it's all fake lah. Like it's not genuine connection, and I didn't want that. So I feel like me ever being in the receiving end before, I think it kind of like changes how I treat people. So it's not like only if you are my client, I'm gonna spend more time with you. It's not only like only if you come to my offering, pay for my services, then you deserve to be my friend. Like I don't like what you say. I treat everybody the same, and if I feel like a certain connection with you, if I feel resonance with you, then yeah, you don't have to keep coming back to spend money with me just so that you can have my attention or have my connection, that kind of thing. Yeah, I feel like that's for me.
Yeah, I guess,
Is that
yeah. I
value?
mean, I guess that there is a particular value to it, right? It's the one where you don't believe that, there are some people who just think that throwing money at a situation will bring them some kind of solution, right? Some people think that way.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember even at a bank I used to work for, there used to be this really big shot, right? And he was one of those very impatient sort of people and would go around actually asking you if you knew who he was.
What?
Yeah,
Oh
do you
my
know who I am?
gosh.
Right? That kind of attitude, right? And I guess it's kind of really sad that, why do we have to tolerate this sort of behavior from a client
Yeah.
just because they are paying us or we are earning X amount from them? Why do we have to tolerate that? Why can't we just exit this relationship altogether? Because it's not aligned for sure.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, the most basic thing, you have to treat another person like a human being. You can't treat other people this way.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, that was really sad that they just did not look at their own values and
Yes.
see that this is someone who's just not very humane.
Totally agree. And I feel like, for the client itself, the one who's like, being arrogant, just because, maybe he's like, the person got a certain kind of like title or like deeper pockets. I do on a certain level feel sad for this person also, because what if suddenly the person like don't have all of these things? Does it mean that the person will not feel that he's respectable anymore? Like, don't deserve all of these things, which is like, it's still attached to a very external thing lah. And the thing is, the more we give in to this kind of person, this kind of people, we are actually perpetuating the whole system again, saying that this is important, you need to have money, you need to have, it's not basic right to a certain to people anymore,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just I didn't like it. I didn't like where I came from. Don't like the values that were there, even though it was
Yeah.
never said aloud or anything like that. And the people around me were very nice people, but they still perpetuated all of this, right? Which
It is. It does. And I just feel like, the thing that which makes it so hard is like, it's always been implied. Like all of these things that we said, it's never really like, I mean, like even the client, right, who said like, you know who I am. Like the thing is, only when it's said so directly then we realize that, hey, this is this is not right. But a lot of the times it's the words, the comments, the remarks, the actions, right? It's being implied. It's not being formed into words set out in a sentence, which is what we are trying to do right now to raise the awareness. And which is why like unknowingly, unconsciously, a lot of people are still like perpetuating the system and probably I still do sometimes when I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of sad, but I really hope that it changes. I hope that we inspire other people at least to when they start thinking about these things, and it doesn't even have to be soulpreneurs, right? In the business world,
Agree.
you can even be a part of the corporate world, but when there are certain values that challenge your value system, how can you try to change that, right? Within wherever you are, how can you influence all of that? And I hope you can, right?
Yeah,
If you're still in the
totally.
corporate space, right? Yeah, because I think everyone can play a part. Everyone can, kind of raise that awareness and say, this is not okay.
Yes, totally, totally. I like that you put it out there because it's like while the title says entrepreneur and entrepreneur and things like that, like it's not just limited to that. Like everything is intertwined. You can use the same kind of value for like it doesn't have to limit to just your offering or like the space. Like it can be like your whole life as well. As long as you have the awareness, pay enough attention to it, you can change the world in however ways or like wherever you are. Yeah. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing that.
Thank you for being my partner in this as well.
And thank you. Oh my god, this is just gonna be a 5 minute, another 10 minute gratefulness session.
Anything else you wanted to say?
Uh, okay, just randomly thought this thing lah. So I mean, like, yes, we are talking in terms of like when we do our offering, we have to be very mindful about like the intentions. Do you do it just solely for the bottom line, the money, and things like that? But we don't just offer, we also engage services as well. So when you engage services or like you go for people's offerings and things like that, what I mean, I believe on some parts we are already like we still have experience before lah on the receiving end of like this person offering me, like for example, I think the most common one is financial planner, at least in my opinion. It was like not really hard at, but at the same time they do have a lot of KPIs, a lot of like things to hit to achieve lah. And then once they achieve certain KPIs, they do get a lot of celebrations. They will have a lot of perks and incentives, which is why it drives them to keep selling. But when you meet people who are offering, they're selling things to you, they're saying all of the right things, but when you feel in your gut that this is not solid, you always have the right to say no, because if you just give into it, right, again, we are also still allowing the system to keep running the same way, and it will just not change. So I think that's what I want to say.
Yeah, I guess, sales for the sake of sales, sales for the sake of earning more money, and
Yeah.
just to feed a very, I guess, a rather individual sort of thing. Like, I know the person probably needs to earn money for their own, to pay their own bills and all that, right? But then there's also maybe people don't actually need to invest in this particular product.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not something that they really need. So why are you selling them something that they don't really need? So that is
Exactly.
what goes behind it. It's not just about feeding yourself, but are you really giving them something of value back, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're not, then what's the point? So yeah, always good to meet a good financial planner with good
Yes.
intentions,
Yes.
who does not hard sell and sees things holistically and tries to genuinely help you,
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than to try to meet the next product target.
It just makes a whole lot of difference knowing that you have like you have someone, be it whatever service it is for, it is someone that you can trust entirely, that they are, recommending things or making decisions or like, introducing things to you really for your own good, like, and there's no hidden agenda behind. I think it makes such a whole lot of difference, and it just puts me at ease knowing that that person don't have ill intentions for me.
Yeah, and likewise for any service that we have, we just hope that the person has good intentions behind what they're doing. Although
Yeah.
some of us can also fall, the best of us can also fall, right? Not be aware of our intentions, but it's always just good to try to be more aware of our intentions.
We have to. The most we can do is, the least we can do is try, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think.
Okay. So that's
That's
it
the end
about
of
the difference between solopreneurs or the business side of things versus soulpreneurs. It's how we operate. I hope it gave you a good idea of the difference between the two as far as our values are concerned. So we come to the end of our episode today. I hope you got a good idea in terms of the difference between the soulpreneur and the solopreneur, the difference between us and traditional business owners, and how we operate and how we make decisions around things. I guess this kind of brings us to the end of this series of, the journey from corporate to soulpreneurship. Jasmine and I will be recording more episodes to come as the two alchemists, but maybe under different titles. We'll be brainstorming anyway more stuff to show up online and to give you our thoughts on many different things in this whole spiritual journey of ours as well.
Yeah, we have
So-
many topics to talk about.
Yeah, so many topics, right? Can't stop talking. So
The way you play is so funny.
okay,
That's so
I'm Tonya, the business alchemist. I'm a business
And-
astrologer and coach. You can find me on Instagram as Tonya, the business alchemist. And Jasmine?
This is Jasmine. I'm a Reiki and mental alchemy practitioner. My Instagram handle is SunPlutoAlchemist if you would like to find out more about me. Or when you see this on YouTube, I'm going to post my details below so you can find it below as well. Thank you to everybody who listened to this probably near to 1 hour podcast. And thank you for supporting. Thank you for listening. Tonya, you wanna
Thank
say
you.
anything?
If you guys got any questions around your journey or our journeys, and anything else that you guys want to hear, any feedback that you have, just let us know in the comments. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening.
You want to know no more comments and no more questions, but you would like to find out more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye bye.